Vermont.com. This is a test of the emergency alert system. This system was developed by broadcast operators in voluntary cooperation with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Federal Communications Commission, and local authorities to keep you informed in the event of an actual emergency. This is only a test. If this had been an emergency, an official message would have followed the tone alert. This concludes this test of the emergency alert system.
The energy. We walked around for 35 minutes just in the parking lot looking for this car.
The passion.
UVM schedules the way they do to get as high a seed as possible in the NCAA tournament and to get as much tournament prep as they can, because they're not going to get it from their league.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
The organization should be taking care of Mac rather than Mac taking care of the organization.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show back at it here on a Tuesday on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Full show again today, all 90 minutes up until 7 o'clock. Then it's a full Jazz with George Thomas. Lots to get to today. We'll continue to keep you updated on what's happening between the Yankees and Guardians in Game 5 of the ALDS, with the Yankees currently have a 5-1 lead. That game in the bottom of the fourth inning at Yankee Stadium. So 4-1 lead in the bottom of the fourth. I might have just said that wrong. It's 4-1. It's the bottom of the fourth. Giancarlo Stanton has a 3-run homer, and Aaron Judge has a solo shot. Jose Ramirez has a sac fly for Cleveland. Bob Socci, the voice of the Patriots, will be with me at 5:45. More talk about the Patriots after their win over the Browns. Celtics opening night tonight against Philly, and you'll hear a bit from UVM hoops legend Tom Brennan as well. TB done some investigative journalism for us here out at UVM practice the last couple of days. You can get in on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. It's your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. And you can also watch us Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and my Twitter account as well.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts of the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber. They are Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I want to start with something that I really didn't think I was going to be the guy to have to do this. I want to start the show by defending Mac Jones. Now, I've been fairly honest, I think. I've been fairly fair, frankly, in my assessment of Mac Jones. You all know where I think he stands, right? I always say it. He's good, but he's not special. I've stated that on many, many different occasions, and I still stand by that statement. He's good, but not special. But that said, I sit here today ready to defend Mac Jones against multiple things. The first of which are comments that I've read on Twitter and something that I heard on television last night from Ben Volen of NBC Sports Boston, or on NBC Sports Boston. Ben Volen is of the Boston Globe. So I'm reading through Twitter. I see people slandering Mac, and I'm all ticked off. Then I go on and watch NBC Sports Boston, and I see Volen say this about Mac.
I think it certainly inflated the ego. Absolutely. Alabama kid, he comes in, he makes the playoffs. Everyone's talking about he's better than Trevor Lawrence, and he's making the Pro Bowl now. Everyone's loving him up. The kid needs to be humbled, and I think that's a good thing for him right now.
So Ben Volen says Mac Jones needed to be humbled and that his head was inflated because he made the Pro Bowl, made the playoffs, and got a little extra shine. Look, I'm sure that that's the mindset of some athletes. I'm sure that happens to some athletes. But where is the proof that that has happened to Mac Jones? Show me the proof that Mac Jones let something get to his head. Show me the proof that Mac Jones has developed an ego. Show me the proof that Mac Jones has developed an arrogance. Show me the proof that Mac Jones has a big head now. Show me that proof, because literally everything that I know and literally everything that I've seen suggests the complete opposite. Then I told you I saw the clip on Twitter that I hated. Some supposed NFL insider says Belichick doesn't deal with woe is me BS from players, especially quarterbacks. Jones should have known that after spending years with Saban. Mac lost his competitive fire, started pointing fingers, and didn't take care of the football. End quote. Again, maybe some players lose their competitive fire. Maybe some players get egos after going to the Pro Bowl. But where is the proof of that happening with Mac Jones? Because all the evidence that I have points directly to the opposite. I really can't believe, I can believe that Ben Volen said it. He's kind of known as even though he's in the market, he's kind of known as a Patriots hater. He's kind of like Dan Shaughnessy is known to ruffle feathers. That's kind of his thing. Ben Volen is a guy who's kind of a Patriots feather ruffler. So I can believe that he said it, but I don't know where he really gets off saying that and actually thinking that it's true. Let me ask you this. If Mac Jones has such a big head and such an inflated ego, let me ask you these questions. Where is the national commercial starring Mac Jones? If Mac Jones has such a big head and such a big ego, where is the cereal box with Mac Jones's face plastered all over it? Where is the video game that Mac Jones is on the cover of? Where's the picture of Mac showing up on game day in a $250,000 convertible? Where is the picture of Mac Jones vacationing this offseason in Cabo, beer in hand, dancing with a cigar in his mouth? Where exactly is any of that stuff? Show me where that stuff is, because here's what I have. Here's what I've got. I've got stories of Mac Jones organizing throwing sessions in Florida. I've got stories of Mac Jones calling Devontae Parker the day after he was acquired and bringing him into those throwing sessions. I've got video of Mac Jones working with kids at charities in Boston. I've got Mac Jones literally saying on WEEI that the best thing he did all summer was go to his sister's wedding. Like, Mac Jones, no pictures of him on no national commercials, no video game covers. No vacationing in Cabo. No shots of him on the beach. The only thing I've got from him is that the most fun thing he did this summer was hang out at his sister's wedding.
Definitely a lot of working out, but I'll give you a real one. My sister got married, so congratulations to her and her new husband, James. So we got to do that during the summer, and it was great to see all my family together and friends and all that. So it was in Bermuda, and we had a great trip, and yeah, it was really fun.
Okay.
Mac, are you a big dance floor guy?
Yeah, I like to dance.
Even Mac went to Bermuda for his sister's wedding, and we had no idea about it until he said it. Right? Other people get married. Other people go to weddings. It's a big show all over social media. I didn't even know that Mac Jones did it until he mentioned it on the radio. On what day was that? August 24th. Okay, all I have about Mac are reports of him coming in better shape, and then proof of that actually being the case because he's definitely lost some of the baby fat. All I have are reports from Mac's teammates about how much they love him and his leadership and how much they love playing with him. Right, Damian Harris?
Mac's our leader. He's a great leader. He's a great teammate. He's an even better friend. The thing I love the most about Mac is he shows up every day ready to work, not only to improve himself, but to make all the guys around him better, whether it's, guys on offense, guys on defense, guys on special teams, the coaches. I mean, he demands everybody's best, and he challenges everybody to be better every single day. So, we're very fortunate to have him under center and, just love being able to step on the field and go to battle with him.
Mac Jones sounds like a guy that his teammates love. Mac Jones does not sound like a guy who is letting ego and fame get to his head. We can say a lot of things about Mac Jones if we want, right? He's not that fast. He doesn't have the best arm. He's made some poor decisions this year. We can say all of that, and all of that is fair. But to sit here and say that, oh, making the Pro Bowl went to his head, I am not buying that. Because show me where Mac Jones has slipped up. Show me where there is proof of that. Again, I absolutely believe that money and fame can go to an athlete's head. I do believe that money and fame can take the edge off of a guy. But I don't believe that's the case with Mac Jones. And I think it's laughable that people are saying this stuff about him, really. Like, I think it is laughable. Ben Volen says, go to the Pro Bowl, getting some shine, making the playoffs. Mac's got a big head. I haven't seen it. All I've seen is a guy that does work hard, is fairly boring, to be perfectly honest with you. Goes home to his girlfriend, goes to bed at 8 o'clock, he says, is running plays with her in the backyard. Like, that's what Mac does. Where's the video? Where's the reports of Mac being out at the clubs? Where's the report of Mac being out after hours at the bar? Where's the report of Mac, being late to meetings and being late to practice and feeling like he can do what he wants? Where are those reports? Because those would paint the picture of a guy who is coming a little bit unglued. I don't have any of that. So I don't like that Ben Volen said this. I don't like that Twitter tough guy insider said it as well, because I'm not buying it. And it irritates me so much on multiple fronts. It irritates me for Mac, but it also irritates me because I hate when people distrust the media. Really, that's one of my pet peeves, right? I'm in the media. My parents are in the media. Jess was in the media at one point in her life. So my whole family is media. I hate when people say fake news. I hate when people distrust the media. I hate when people aren't buying what the media is selling. I hate when people criticize the media. It's one of my least favorite things. It genuinely bothers me. But this stuff by Ben Volen, this is why some people don't like it. And comments like that give the media a bad name. Okay? There is no data, no evidence that shows that Mac Jones is different now than he was a year ago. All I have is evidence to the contrary. And Ben Volen pushing a narrative that doesn't exist really frustrates me. I mean, I've got like oodles of audio, right? Like, I've got a ton of audio dating back to when I started here. First day of the show was October 26th of 2020. I have audio that dates back to that day. So when we get to the Mac Jones era, all I have are people talking about Mac. That is all I have. Look, April 21st, Devontae Parker working with Mac Jones.
The workouts are great. And then my impressions of Mac, he got a nice arm on him, zipping it. And, it was just a great workout. For all of us, it's just good for me to come down and, start throwing with them early, as soon as I can, get the timing down. And it was a good workout.
So you have Parker talking about working out with Mac Jones, like right after he got traded. Like, that's Devontae Parker back in April. Nobody has said there's been any progression towards Mac being not a great guy or not a great teammate or being tough to play with or having an ego. This really, really bothers me. Really bothers me. Shame on Ben Volen for saying that when there's no evidence. If you've got evidence, then come to the table with it. And if Ben Volen comes to the table with evidence of Mac, showing up late or doing what he wants or screaming at the coaching staff, then I'll go and apologize this rant. I'll retract this rant. But I don't have any of that empirical evidence. None of it. It's the Brady Farkas Show here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I'm not going to start with that with Bob Socci, but I am going to ask Bob Socci about the criticism of Mac. And I've got more criticism of Mac to defend him against in the 6 o'clock hour. But Bob Socci, voice of the Patriots, is hanging on the line with us now.
The old names are gone.
Brady takes the snap, backpedals, fires left, catch made by White, turns to the inside, dives across the goal line. Touchdown, Patriots!
But there's new hope in Foxborough.
Stevenson with a great run to the outside. Still on the go. Andre Stevenson trying to go wire. Second touchdown.
For the latest on the Patriots, we talk to the voice of the Patriots, Bob Socci, on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Yeah, Ray and Warren says Aaron Rodgers could take some notes from Mac. Seriously. Like, Aaron Rodgers is creating headlines. Aaron Rodgers creates headlines. He's out at this place. He's dating this woman. He's taking this hallucinogenic. Aaron Rodgers is creating headlines. What exactly does Mac Jones do? Mac Jones is too boring to have. Mac Jones is too boring to have ego go to his head. Like, there's kind of nothing to Mac, and that's okay. In fact, being boring as a quarterback is actually largely a good thing, staying out of trouble. Mac's too boring to have this stuff be affecting him, I think. So, all right, let's get Bob Socci, who's waited patiently. And we will talk to Bob about Mac here momentarily, but we also got a lot of Bailey Zappi to talk about. So, Bob Socci, voice of the Patriots, with us now every single Tuesday at this time. Bob, thank you for being with us. How are you?
I'm good, Brady. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you as well. You know, you went to Cleveland, obviously. Patriots win 38-15. You also saw a baseball game in Cleveland. Was it game 3 of the ALDS that you saw? Game 4? You got to see playoff baseball.
I got to see playoff baseball, game 3. The game won by the Guardians, coming back in the bottom of the ninth. Oscar Gonzalez, of course, serenaded to his walk-up song, SpongeBob SquarePants, and then with a 2-strike pitch, reaching out and lashing a single through the middle to score 2 runs with the bases loaded. An electric atmosphere in Cleveland. It was a little chilly by the end of the game, so I had to make a purchase, which I'm wearing right now atop my cap, to conceal my messy hair as we talk on a Tuesday morning. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a great sports weekend. Beautiful Sunday. Patriots get back in the win column again behind Brady's Bailey Zappi, but primarily because of the defense as well. And now at 500, 3-3.
You know, let's talk about Bailey Zappi. Just the player, rather than the quote controversy and all that, just the player. What did you see from him that you like from him, just in terms of how he plays the position?
Well, everybody's talked about the poise and the composure, and I think that's been evident from the first series, backed up inside his own 10-yard line at Green Bay at Lambeau Field, and what he has shown us over the course of the last 3 weeks. But I think when you start to watch him expand as a quarterback in terms of what they're asking him to do, you gain an appreciation for the physical skills too, I think. Now, does he have a cannon, if you will, an arm that would rank as elite or probably above average? Is a bit of a stretch. I don't think so, but I think it's an adequate arm. He makes the throws that he needs to make, and I thought he'd make some throws in particular against the Browns. Off platform a little bit, moving in the pocket, sliding up, sliding over. It's been a clip that's been shared a lot in the last 24 to 48 hours on social media. His throw to Tyquan Thornton dragging across the field. There was the pump to the right on the 2-yard touchdown pass to Thornton, where he then surveys the field and spots him in the back of the end zone. There was a play that was nullified because Hunter Henry was shoved out of the end zone and before he came back into the field to play. But Zappi missed him initially, but then he's able to keep the play alive, flush to his right, and he finds Henry again with the score again, as I mentioned, was nullified. And I think those are just a handful of plays that to me show the ability athletically to make plays that he's going to need to make, particularly at his size in the pocket. But the subtleties of quarterback play, the ball faking, how he's able to freeze the linebackers with his ball fakes on play action passes. And when you look at skills like that, they stand out to me because we watched Tom Brady do it so well in New England. And compared to a lot of other quarterbacks in the league, there was a big drop-off. And now when I see Zappi, and Matt Jones does it well too. I mean, all the things I'm describing about Bailey, I think, apply to Matt. I think Bailey's a little more athletic, it seems, going out of the pocket and making those moving throws. But a lot of the subtleties, they stand out because I don't think you see them around the league consistently enough. I think there are a lot of quarterbacks, when they give a play fake, for example, it's just kind of a token fake. And stick the ball out, don't tuck the shoulders, don't really sell it. And I think Zappi's done that. And particularly, he's doing deep drops. He's coming back blind. He's making the throw to his left. And I've just been impressed overall with what we have seen from his progress these last few weeks.
And I think organizationally, a massive amount of credit needs to be given here, because usually when you go to your backup quarterback, it's a death sentence for a season. And here we are, third string quarterback, and the Patriots are 2-0 and thriving. And I don't care who they're playing and the soft schedule, you're your third string quarterback and you're annihilating teams right now. I think Matt Patricia, a guy that we gave a lot of grief to throughout the offseason, deserves a lot of credit for his play calling and his communication with the quarterback. Bill Belichick, the defense, the special teams, I think all of it organizationally, I think all of them deserve a pat on the back.
I would agree, Brady, and I think that Joe Judge has to be included there as well as the quarterback's coach, because I think he's certainly had an influence on Zappi's development. And the Patriots have had this ability under Belichick to take these mid-round quarterbacks like Jacoby Brissett and Bailey Zappi, to name a couple, but as well, late-round quarterback Matt Castle, a second-round quarterback like Jimmy Garoppolo, and have them ready for the circumstances and the opportunity when it arises and they're needed. And to me, there is a quality there that I think you can't overstate, because as you said, you look around the league and time after time, we see examples of it where the backup quarterback and often an experienced quarterback comes in and there's a huge drop off. We're talking in this case about a kid who went from third string now to first string, at least in the interim with Jones still out, and was a fourth round pick, played at a small school for most of his collegiate career, and with only one season at the FBS level at Western Kentucky. Now he's doing this, and when we talk about the subtleties in his development overall, again, he came from really, the square one in terms of what he was asked to do in his college air raid offense, operating only from the shotgun, to what is now required of him operating this Patriots offense.
Bob Socci, voice of the Patriots, with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Patriots' next game is Monday night, so that is a 5:30 start for us on the pregame show next Monday, so no Patriots on Sunday this week. The one thing that I don't know if frustrates me is the right word, maybe bothers is the right word, but there's this narrative out there that when Mac comes back, he needs to play a whole lot differently, because Bailey Zappi has shown the way that Mac should play. And my thought is maybe what they're doing right now works, but I think a lot of Mac's mistakes were a product of what the offense was asking him to do then. He was being told to go down the field to take some shots. Now, I do think he made some bad decisions on some individual passes, but overall, I think schematically right now the Patriots have changed what they're looking to do, and I think that is drawing unnecessary criticism on Mac. Am I fair in that?
Well, I think, Brady, it's like everything else in our business. There is a tendency to overreact to things. When people describe Bailey Zappi and what's made him successful these last couple of weeks, I said you could use a lot of those same adjectives and same descriptors a year ago about Mac Jones. Poise in the pocket, pocket movement, accuracy consistently for the most part, and not putting the ball in harm's way, not turning it over. And I think this year, for whatever reason, and I think there are a variety of factors at play, and I think you're right, I think there was clearly an emphasis as we would look back on practices in the spring, even going back to the OTAs, there was an emphasis on driving the ball downfield, making more plays downfield. And there was a discomfort initially. I think it was very clear based on what was being said and just the body language as well out on the field in terms of the way the offense was operating. Frustration there that's really extended into the early days of training camp at least. So I do think that there are a lot of factors at play. Now, I do think there are also lessons, though, that Mac Jones can take from the experience of sitting out and watching Bailey run this scaled back offense, and it is scaled back. There's no denying that. And, maybe just, to get away from the game physically and actively. As somebody who's so hard on himself, it seems, and someone who, really was unrelenting in terms of the time that he invested to try to make himself better in the early weeks of this season, according to teammates, maybe a little time away is going to be a good thing in the long run. And also, I think, too, for the offense evolving, we're talking about the play calling and the coaches on the offensive side of the ball. They now have 6 games under their belt, as opposed to no regular season games as a staff when Mac started this year, or 1 or 2 or 3 regular season games, when he was their quarterback. So I think that there are a lot of factors at play, and I think you have to look at it as a mosaic. There's the various pieces of this puzzle, for another cliche to throw out there, and I hope that when Mac does come back and they turn it back over to him, that we see a blend of that willingness, that desire to drive the ball downfield, but also, again, taking the intermediate and short routes more consistently and taking care of the football, because that's ultimately what it's boiled down to in terms of the Patriots being successful and their opponents the last couple of weeks not being successful.
I was initially very excited when the schedule came out about this Monday night game coming up. I was thinking it's going to be Mac Jones against Justin Fields, and the Pats could have had Justin Fields, and should they have got which quarterback? I was all excited for that matchup. And even if Mac plays, I think Mac's going to be at least somewhat limited. So it's not going to be the full extent of what the matchup could be. Now I'm excited for the poetic idea that Bill Belichick could break George Halas for second place all time in wins against George Halas's Bears. I think that is just sometimes things just work out the way that they're supposed to, and it would make for a hell of a story Monday night.
And he ties George Halas at Cleveland. And his head coaching career. Mm-hmm. And his first win, of course, of the 324 was against the Patriots in Foxborough. His first playoff win was against the Patriots as well, facing Bill Parcells' team. And he's also doing it in Cleveland, across from the Ring of Honor and the name of Paul Brown, his coaching idol, and a great influence on his father and his godfather, Bill Edwards, who played with Paul Brown in high school in Massillon, Ohio, and then coached under Paul Brown while with the Browns as an assistant coach. And for Belichick, again, to tie George Halas, in those circumstances, I thought, there was something poetic about that. And now here he is on the verge of passing Halas for number 2 in all-time wins against the Bears, as you say. Halas, the patriarch of this Chicago Bears franchise. And, going back to Justin Fields for a second, too, with this game, and the Bears are struggling so mightily offensively. I think there's a lesson when you talk about the development of young quarterbacks with Fields and the Bears. Started with the offensive line for Chicago. Fields really had no chance, I think, and right from the start, with the makeup of that Bears team a year ago, but also in terms of subtleties of quarterback play and vision and decision making and all the things that are involved in it. He wasn't equipped for the NFL when the football was turned over to him as the starter for the Bears. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a tough thing to overcome for a young quarterback. Matt Eberflus and his staff, it's a new staff. There's a new GM there now. He's not their guy. So, Justin Fields is really in an unenviable spot. I think, he's not been put in a position to bring out his best. And unfortunately for him, because I think of the lack of preparation, the lack of support around him, what we have seen consistently is too much of his worst.
Bob, we appreciate the time as always. Pats are 3-3. We're going to talk next Tuesday, and it's going to be the day after a Patriots game. So excited to get your immediate reaction. And I just bought tickets, my fiance and I, for November 6th against the Colts. So a couple of weeks from now, I'll be in Foxborough. I'll be hitting you up for restaurant recommendations in a few weeks.
You got it, Brady. Thank you. Look forward to that.
I look forward to that as well. I went to a Patriots game last year with Jess against the Jaguars, and the Pats won like 50-3. So we'll see again this year against the Colts. So appreciate Bob Socci for being with us as always. And there's a lot of interesting stuff in what Bob said, and the idea that time away might be good for Mac. We can hit on that point probably tomorrow. He's right about the Patriots' ability to develop quarterbacks, but I really did love kind of nerding out on the the subtleties in Bailey Zappe's game, because I do think that's a good point. There's a lot of minutia that goes into playing the quarterback position, and thus far, Bailey Zappe is willing to do that minutia. The pump fakes that Bob references, the precise way that he runs play action. Again, it's not sexy to talk about, but there's plenty of quarterbacks that just go through the motions, and maybe they think they have the ability athletically or arm talent wise to just go through the motions. They don't need to do those things so crisply and so perfectly. Bailey Zappe does, and thus far he is doing it. I really do appreciate that about his game also in the early going. I am still going to keep defending Mac Jones, by the way, against the haters on the other side of the CBS News update. But yeah, Patriots-Bears come up next Monday, so we're off the air that day. So we'll get an off day on the Brady Farkas show next Monday, and then we'll obviously have Bob on again next Tuesday to recap the whole thing. But shout out real quick to the Napa-Morrisville, Napa-Waterbury text line, where a lot of you, like I walked in this morning to several texts of people saying they loved your NFL team in 3 words or less. So I think we're going to bring that back. I think we might make that a weekly thing. Your NFL team in 3 words or less. We did that yesterday for the first time, and it got rave reviews on the text line. Bob in Moncton loved it. Dane in Rochester loved it. Mark in South Hero loved it. Kyle in South Burlington loved it. Everybody loved it. So I think that's going to become one of our new things here. All right, CBS News update, and then I got to defend Mac Jones against one more piece of criticism that I'm tired of hearing about, and it's the Celtics opening night. I'll tell you my biggest question for the C's as well. That's all to come. The Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren. 96.5 W243 AT Barrie. 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier. AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance.
I'm Monica Ricks in New York. You know, winter's come a little early for more than 200 million Americans who are now feeling freezing temperatures and seeing snow.
I was hoping it would hold off until closer like Thanksgiving, but hey, you know, we've seen snow on Halloween before.
The Weather Channel's Jordan Steele is tracking temps.
20 degrees below average for the eastern half of the country, and some of that cold air going all the way down into south central Georgia, where we could be looking at record cold max temperatures only in the 50s there.
Officials are urging drivers to beware of whiteout conditions in the Midwest. President Biden says he plans to protect abortion rights at the federal level if Democrats take control of Congress in the midterms.
The only sure way to stop these extremist laws that put in jeopardy women's health and rights is for Congress to pass a law.
Eric Scheidler slammed the president's plan. He runs the Pro-Life Action League in Chicago.
American people are not on board with that, and I think he's going to have a very hard time convincing any Congress to pass such an extreme policy.
According to a new CBS News poll, voters are most concerned about inflation. Tomorrow, the president shifts his focus to gas prices as his administration follows through with a plan to draw more oil from strategic reserves. CBS's Stephen Portnoy.
The expected move would be in keeping with what the president said he would do 6 months ago, essentially completing a 180 million barrel drawdown from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which he announced in March. Republican critics say Mr. Biden has taken America's oil stockpile, meant for emergencies, down to historic lows.
Russia is attacking more civilian targets in Ukraine today and going after key infrastructure. CBS's Skylar Henry reports.
Russia is targeting power and water supplies just ahead of Ukraine's brutal winter weather. Local officials say Russian missiles hit 2 power plants in Kyiv. More than 50,000 residents lost electricity.
A warning today for women who chemically straighten their hair. CBS's Steve Futterman.
The study by the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences shows that women who use chemicals to straighten their hair are at a higher risk for certain types of cancer. In the case of uterine cancer, it found the risk is more than double. Alexandra White is with the Institute.
Although the doubling sounds really scary and it's an accurate reflection of this relative increase on an absolute scale, you know, this is a relatively small increase in risk.
The study found that Black women may be more affected due to higher use of the products.
NASCAR has decided to suspend driver Bubba Wallace for one race after he deliberately crashed into Kyle Larson's car over the weekend in Las Vegas. That penalty does not include a fine or points deduction. The Dow added 37 points today. This is CBS News.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance, so you only pay for what you need. Visit libertymutual.com to learn more.
Been a great year for gardening, so enjoy your bounty all winter long. Come to the Willie's store for canning and freezing supplies. See the Willie's store for fresh seafood that now arrives every Thursday. There's quality meats, a huge wine selection, and craft beers, including Hill Farmstead Brewery. Look for newly arrived fall and winter clothing and footwear. And don't forget the True Test interior and exterior paints and stains at the Willie's store. Since 1900 Main Street across from Caspian Lake, Greensboro.
Whatever your interest, sports.
I think the Celtics are
current events.
We're stepping the primary campaign up a bit.
Gardening.
If you do get the tomato hornworm, you're going to see them a lot sooner.
Weather.
You may have heard of the word derecho. What is a derecho? Well,
WDEV has a podcast for you. Locally produced podcasts of our own shows and podcasts from our partners at CBS and ESPN. To access the full listing of podcasts, go to our website at WDEVradio.com.
New research finds that young men aren't as interested in having kids. Here's CBS's Deborah Rodriguez.
The study in the journal Marriage and Family shows the number of male high school seniors who say they never want children more than tripled between 2000 and 2019. And the percentage of childless men in the U.S. aged 15 to 49 who say they're not interested in becoming fathers doubled from about 10% to 20% between 2012 and 2018. The author blames broader socioeconomic shifts, but the majority of men still say they want to become dads. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
A new study suggests that in addition to family and friends, talking to strangers makes people happier. Researchers from Harvard University looked into the social connections. They wanted to know which type of relationships and how those interactions played into a person's well-being. And they found that those who branched out had overall a better quality of life. Monica Ricks, CBS News.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Critical moment in this Yankees game, ALDS Game 5. The Yankees have a 5-1 lead right now. Cleveland has runners at second and third with 2 outs in the top of the 6th. And really, they just had a 2-run single taken away from them because of the shift. So 5-1, 2 on for Cleveland, and Loizaga on the mound right now for the Yankees. I'll continue to keep you updated on that. Celtics opening night tonight against the Sixers. We'll get you ready for the season in about 10 minutes, and we will talk later in the hour with former UVM Hoops coach Tom Brennan, who did some investigative reporting for us over the last week. But I got to get out of my system. I want to go back to defending Mac Jones here. I already defended Mac Jones's character and work ethic, but now I want to defend his football play because I keep hearing the same type of stuff about everything. And I just asked Bob Socci about this, but I keep hearing this same story. And I heard it from Albert Breer most recently, who said that the way that Bailey Zappi is playing should serve as a lesson to Mac Jones. It should serve as a lesson in that, hey, see, if you just do what we say, you'll be successful. Bailey Zappi is providing the blueprint for Mac Jones. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that narrative. Yes, Bailey Zappi is being successful, but let's remember something. Before Mac Jones got hurt, he was doing what the Patriots wanted him to do. There's this notion out there that Mac Jones was going rogue and not playing Patriots football. That's not true. Mac Jones was playing exactly what the coaches wanted Patriots football to be. I could go on this, but I really just want to bring you back to what our friend Phil Perry of NBC Sports Boston told us on Friday when he was with us right here on this show.
If I'm Mac Jones, I'm looking at those comments or the comments of somebody like Mike Lombardi a few weeks ago who was basically skewering Mac Jones for his inability to take care of the football. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. Aren't you guys the ones who are telling me that this is going to be a much more explosive offense this year and that we have to push the ball down the field? And you guys liked that I did that at Alabama, and so we tried to incorporate that to the offense of the spring and the summer. And weren't you guys the guys that traded for Devontae Parker and drafted Tyquan Thornton in the second round. And weren't you guys that were telling me that those 50-50 balls to Devontae Parker were really great during the summer because it was just about all we could do? It feels like there's been an organizational push here to have Mac Jones become a down-the-field type of quarterback.
Ding, ding, ding. That's exactly right. And if I were Mac Jones, everything that Phil Perry just said is exactly how I would feel. I'd be upset if I'm Mac. Everybody's like, hey, Mac, see, you could do exactly what Bailey's doing. You'll be all good. I'd be like, look, man, you told me to go down the field. You told me to take shots. You told me to get more dynamic. You told me to get more big playability. You got us Devontae Parker. You got us a speed guy in Tyquan Thornton. You spent $1 gazillion on pass catchers last year. If I'm Mac Jones, I'm saying, look, I just became what you wanted me to become. And by the way, when you take shots, you create turnovers. That's just the nature of the NFL. It is what it is. When you push the ball down the field, which the organization pushed him to do, you are going to turn the football over. Matt Stafford leads the league in interceptions right now. Leads the league in interceptions. The Rams might win the Super Bowl again. Matt Stafford led the league in interceptions last year and won the Super Bowl. So Lamar Jackson might win the MVP. He's third in the NFL in interceptions thrown. When guys go down the field, guys throw picks. That's just the way it is. If I'm Mac, I'm tired of having these interceptions held completely against me. Some of them are poor decisions. I'm with people on that, right? The week one pick that Xavier Howard got, that was a terrible decision. So there are some things. Mac should not be absolved completely of blame. But if I'm Mac, I'm looking at it like, man, I am just the product of what you made me. You desired that offense. You desired that verticality. You desired those shots. You got pieces to fit that. So don't get mad at me for taking shots when that's exactly what you set up around me. Like if they want Mac Jones to play the way Bailey Zappi is, he can easily do that. We saw that a year ago. Mac Jones can do that. But I got to tell you, if they do that, I think they're making the wrong choice. If they bring Mac Jones back and ask him to just do what Bailey Zappi's doing, they're making the wrong choice as far as I'm concerned. I don't want that offense long term. Hey, look around the NFL. Look at the teams that ask their quarterback to not do a whole lot, rely on their run game, and just try not to make mistakes. Tennessee does that with Derrick Henry. Cleveland does that with Nick Chubb and Jacoby Brissett. Seattle does it with their run game and Geno Smith. And guess what? None of them are over 500. The teams that are run-based, that don't ask their quarterback to do anything, they're not over 500, and they're certainly not winning Super Bowls. I actually liked the Mac Jones offense from earlier in the year. Okay? The decision-making was poor at times, but overall, I liked the offense. I enjoyed seeing the deep ball to Parker to Aguilar against Pittsburgh. I enjoyed the ball to Aguilar against Baltimore that he ran down the field. Now, he ultimately fumbled, but that's not a Mac Jones problem. If the Patriots ask Mac Jones to come back and play this watered-down offense, I think they're asking for trouble. They will win games, but they are not winning the Super Bowl. And that is ultimately what I care about. I would love to see Mac Jones come back and play the exact same way that he was before, but I'm sure he's not going to now. Because they're going to rein him in, or he's going to naturally start playing nervous. And I think that that's too bad. But I'm tired of people like Ben Volen saying that Mac Jones basically has become Joe Hollywood when there's no proof of that. And I'm tired of people saying that Mac needs to follow the Bailey Zappi script. Mac was following the Mac Jones script. And what the Patriots organizationally scripted for him was throw the ball down the field. Don't be mad at the system when the system is what you make me. That's how I'd feel if I were Mac. Ross says, I think Mac is better overall, but I like how fast Zappy throws. Mac's passes are slow and have more chances of getting picked off. Ross, let's point this out, though. Okay, let's be very clear. That's not necessarily Mac. That is the Patriots in a lot of cases, right? The Patriots are trying to take guesswork out of the equation for Bailey Zappi, right? They're trying to take the guesswork out of it. Get the ball, quick drop, ball out. No time for a defender to get there, not deep down the field, and not a lot of reading the defense, right? Get the ball, go. Not a lot of time reading the defense. That's what they're doing for Bailey Zappi. For Mac Jones, it's a 5-yard drop, right? 5-yard drop or 5-step drop, 7-step drop. And with that, okay, more receivers running routes, more defenders covering, more things to look for, more things to scan, more time for my receivers to get down the field so I can take the shot that they want me to take. So that is how offense is being played. I looked at it today. Mac Jones has thrown balls 15 yards or more. He's thrown them 28% of his throws are 15 yards or more down the field. Bailey Zappi is like 12 or something like that. Like, the offense is being built with Mac to go deep. It's not built that way with Bailey Zappi. And yeah, when you go deep, you are going to make some mistakes or have some balls picked off. Bob says, Brady, I feel your pain for Mac, and what you're saying makes sense. But at the end of the day, it comes down to wins. You're right. It comes down to wins. 100% get that one. 100% agree with that. But let's just understand that Mac Jones is doing what the team wanted him to do. The organization made a philosophical change this summer to drive the ball down the field. Mac drove the ball down the field, and when you do that, you're going to give up some mistakes. Think about it like baseball. Think about it like baseball. And I'm watching the Yankees now, so this comes back to my head. Sonny Gray, several years ago, was a pitcher for the Oakland A's, right? And Sonny Gray was excellent with Oakland, and he had a really good curveball, right? He had a really good curveball and a really good sinker. He got traded to the Yankees, and he was terrible. He was awful. And Sonny Gray said afterwards, they wanted me to throw my slider a bunch. He's like, my slider is my worst pitch. I don't like throwing my slider that much. They had me throwing it more than anything. So the question is Sonny Gray just bad? Or did the Yankees do something organizationally that made him not as successful? Right, that made him more prone to mistakes. I would say the Yankees started making him into a pitcher that wasn't as good. They made him into a pitcher that wasn't as successful. The organization can control the trajectory and the results for a player. The Yankees missed it with Sonny Gray. I'm not saying the Patriots have missed it with Mac Jones, but all of you seem to think that Mac is somehow worse or that Mac needs to change. And all I'm pointing out is that Mac is doing what they said. And like Sonny Gray, Mac Jones is experiencing some growing pains and some negative outcomes. That's what I'll say. It's the Brady Farkas. We're going to get more to Mac tomorrow. We got a lot of Mac stuff to get to still, but I need to kind of take a break from Mac today. But yes, he's getting too much criticism as far as I'm concerned, both for his work ethic, his attitude, his demeanor, and his football play. Don't be mad at the system when the system is what you made me. It is WDEV, AM and FM at WDEVradio.com. On the basketball front, opening night for your Eastern Conference champion, Boston Celtics. Opening night for your Eastern Conference champion, Boston Celtics. Can we get a little basketball music, people? Can we get a little basketball music? Oh, there we go. I like that. The old NBA on NBC music. So, all right. Celtics opening night tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. That game's going to be 7:30. It's going to be aired nationally on TNT. Obviously, the Celtics are coming off a trip to the finals where they were beaten by the Dubs in 6 games. And there's plenty of questions about the Celtics, right? Plenty of questions about the C's. But to me, there's one big one that outweighs the others, right? There's a ton of questions about the Celtics. I've got 8 of them listed here. There's one that outweighs the other. And that, to me, is how serious will the Celtics take the regular season? That is the question that matters the most. Because now that the Celtics have tasted postseason success, now that they've tasted NBA Finals success, now that they've gotten that close, the Celtics are undoubtedly going to be chasing that feeling. Okay, the feeling of being deep in the playoffs, it is addictive. It is intoxicating. The regular season, it doesn't have that kind of rush. So how do the C's handle and treat the regular season? Do they come out hungry, aggressive, attention to detail, doing everything they can this regular season? Or do they loaf through the regular season because they're just constantly on look-ahead mode? That is going to be the biggest challenge for this team, and there's no doubt about it. All these guys saw success, and a championship was right there in front of them. They want nothing more than to just get back to the championship. It's really hard when that's your focus and that's your goal. It's really hard to focus on some random Tuesday game in Charlotte, or a Thursday against last place San Antonio, or a Saturday night in Oklahoma City. It's a veteran group. They've got to be able to compartmentalize and understand that when they are in the regular season, they are in the regular season. It is not about looking ahead. That is the biggest question. You can talk a lot about everything with Joe Mazzulla and Ime Udoka and all that. We'll talk about all that in a minute. Attitude and mindset of the regular season is the biggest concern for me, the biggest question that I have at this point. Think about it like relationships, right? That's an easy way to conceptualize this. Let's just say that, okay, when you're 21, right, dating is fun, right? You're going out, you're building something, you're meeting people, and this one works and this one doesn't, and we go through the battles together as a couple, and we're together for a year, and we're celebrating the anniversaries, and we're here, there, all that. When you're young, dating is fun. When you're 35 and you're a grizzled veteran, you're not really interested in the dating anymore, are you? It's all about, when are we getting married? When are we buying the house? When are we having kids? That's where I fear the Celtics might be. That is my biggest concern, right? They've done the dating. They've built up the equity. They've met the friends group. They've hung out with the parents. They've done all that. They've been to the puppet show and they've seen the strings. They're not really interested in that now. Now it's, when's our end goal happening? When are we getting married? When are we starting our life together? That's all I care about. I'm not looking for a 3-year relationship here, 3 years of dating at age 35. Just not for me. That's my biggest concern about the Celtics. Can they show up in the regular season and care? Because if they're just fast forwarding until April, the season has a potential to not go the way you want it. I don't think the Celtics are going to be bad. I don't think the Celtics are going to not make the playoffs, but they have a potential, right? They could go 62-20 in the regular season, get the number 1 seed. Do they do that? Or do they come out and go 48 and see, I can't add like that. 48 and 82, I don't know, 48 and 38 or whatever, 48 and 34. Like, what do they come out and do? You know, do they come out and end up with the 5 seed, or do they roll through the East and get the 1? They have the potential to roll through the East and get the 1, but if they're constantly looking ahead, they can end up like the Brooklyn Nets of last year, and that's what you don't want. So it is the Brady Farkas Show, WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. I just want to see the attitude of fight to win regular season games, fight the urge to look ahead. I think they have the pieces and leadership to do it. I'm ready for the season to start tonight. I'm excited for it to start tonight. I'll be watching tonight, but that's the biggest concern. And there are other questions too. 802-585-3026, Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. Are you ready for the Celtics season to start? Are you excited for Celtics basketball trying to come back and get back to another NBA Finals? What questions do you have about the team? For me, beyond what I just said about the NBA Finals hangover, one, how does Joe Mazzulla handle his first year as head coach? That's question number one. Does he handle the locker room dynamic well? Can he handle the end of game situation well? Can he be a good play caller? Can he handle minutes right, rotation right? Who's playing at the end of the game? Who's getting the last shot? All of that. Can he handle the responsibilities of being a first-year head coach and a guy with no head coaching experience and a guy who's taking over a team with massive expectations? The Boston Celtics are not a job really for on-the-job training. You want on-the-job training, go get blasted in Oklahoma City. Go get blasted in Orlando and learn from it. The Celtics are not that spot. Joe Mazzulla is thrust into that spot. How does he handle everything? That's the next biggest question. Then, how do the leaders on this team handle Joe Mazzulla? Do they give him the respect of a head coach? Do they make his life easier? Or do they play the, hey, coach, we got it. We're good from here. We don't really need you. Are they making his life easier or are they making his life harder? How do the Celtics handle not having Robert Williams until likely after New Year's Day? We saw the report today. First, Robert Williams was going to be back in early November. Then he was going to be back in December. Now he's not going to be back until the actual year of 2023. This is your starting center. This is a guy that allows you to play big. Now you've got to change up your rotation. You're probably going to play small. He's a rim protector. He's a rebounder. He's a shot blocker. He cleans up garbage under the net. He runs your lob game. Robert Williams is a big part of what you do. And when he played well in the NBA Finals, the Celtics played well. When he was out in the playoffs, life was a lot harder for them. So you're not going to have Robert Williams until 2023. How do you make do without him? Who steps up in his spot? Are you playing a small ball? A lot of stuff there from the offshoot of Robert Williams being out. Number 4, about bench scoring. It was the thing the Celtics sought to address. Danilo Gallinari was going to be that guy. He's out for the year with a torn ACL. Where's the guy off the bench who scores for this team? Does Malcolm Brogdon come off the bench tonight? I don't know what the starting lineup is yet. I haven't seen it. Does Brogdon come off the bench and he's the guy who gets 16 a game? Does Sam Hauser continue to have a great year because he had a great preseason? Does he contribute? Does Peyton Pritchard play with more regularity and more consistency? I don't know. How much impact does Blake Griffin make? What does he have left? I don't know. Does he play 6 minutes a game? Does he play 16 minutes a game? Does he get 2 points a game? Does he get 10 points a game? Blake Griffin's a guy who can shoot it a bit from the outside, can play some defense, can rebound a bit. He's no longer the high flyer that he was in the early part of his career. What does he have left, and how does he impact that bench? Because he's got the roster spot that was earmarked for Gallinari. Now, I don't expect him to be the offensive player that Gallinari was expected to be, but he's got to contribute something in order to justify that roster spot. And finally, how healthy can the Celtics stay? It is something you say for every team, every season. We saw in 2020-21 when the COVID year, Celtics were the team that missed the most time of any team with COVID, right? COVID out, absences aren't the thing this year, but we saw Marcus Smart get hurt last year, right? He had the calf. We've seen Tatum be out. We saw Brown with the wrist at the end of 2 seasons ago. How healthy do you stay? Because if they stay healthy, the Celtics may be a top 2 team in basketball again. If they don't, obviously life gets harder, right? You saw what a difference just Chris Middleton made in the playoffs for the Bucks. Celtics want to stay healthy and want to stay at the top of their game all season long. 7:30 tonight, Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers from TD Garden. I've got one more Celtics thing for you I want to get to on the other side of this. We're going to play Who's Saying What after the commercial break. Stephen A. Smith has a theory about why Ime Udoka was not just outright fired. And you know what? I actually think he's on to something. A lot of people are laughing at Stephen A. I think he's actually right on it here. I'll tell you what that is next on DEV.
The Country Club of Barry, a Vermont treasure, invites you out for a round of golf, great meal, and good times. Come join the fun.
You'll find a fully stocked pro shop at the Country Club of Barry. All the major brands like TaylorMade, Stealth, Ping, Cobra, Titleist, FootJoy, and more. You'll also find 2 certified club fitters to take your game to the next level.
Info and tee times online at ccandbarry.com. Good times, good friends, and great golf. Always open to the public. The Country Club of Barry.
Hi, it's Zach from Robert & Sons Lawn Care. We just received a big shipment of new Bad Boy zero-turn mowers, and we're having a fall sale. Save $250 on any in-stock model with a free tank of fuel and free delivery. Save money and time and enjoy your new American-made Bad Boy zero-turn mower. We're located right across from Northgate Plaza on Brooklyn Street in Morrisville. Make a great deal now on your new Bad Boy zero-turn mower at Robert & Sons Lawn Care. We'll see you soon.
Moonlight Magic, powered by VSECU, takes over downtown Montpelier on Friday, October 21st. Enjoy amazing deals all day, extended shopping hours until 9 p.m., and amazing street performances from 5 to 9 p.m. You'll find all sorts of different entertainment, from African drumming, fire and music, to poetry and yo-yos.
Splash Naturals is offering 20% off store-wide for 3 days, including their fabulous skincare and makeup lines, such as Bare Minerals, Jane Iredale, and Dr. Hauschka. Splash is bubbling over with fresh new fall fashions in addition to all natural products from around the world. You are naturally worth it. Come celebrate Moonlight Magic by kicking off Onion River Outdoors preseason ski and snowshoe sale starting Friday, October 21st through Sunday the 23rd. Get up to 20% off winter gear, including skis, boots, snowshoes, traction, and cozy apparel like hats, gloves, and outerwear. Some exclusions apply.
Moonlight Magic, Friday, October 21st from 5 to 9 p.m. See you there.
When my little girl has a stuffy nose, she just can't rest. Mom! And neither can I. So I use Vicks Sinex Children's Saline Nasal Mist to instantly clear her mucus right at the source. It provides fast, drug-free relief from everyday stuffy noses. It's relief for both of us.
Vicks Sinex Children's Saline. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This is CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger. Getting good value for your hard-earned money is more important than ever. When you have aches and pains, good value means getting relief that lasts, like the relief you'll enjoy from Salonpause pain-relieving patches. People that use Salonpause reported less pain with improvement in mood, sleep, and the ability to work. Life is better without pain. You can live better. Salonpause. It's good medicine.
The world is a constantly changing place, and being informed has never been more important. This is Steve Kathan. WDEV, Vermont's news station, and CBS provide you with up-to-the-minute news and information. Whether it's top and bottom of the hour news, breaking news, or special events, if Vermonters need to know, you can trust that WDEV and CBS will inform you. WDEV, keeping an eye on Vermont, while CBS keeps an eye on the world.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Whoa. What did he say?
Well, they have an expensive but totally unimpressive receiving core, and they have absolute best, at most charitable, the 9th best quarterback in their own conference. They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Show brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training, Vermont's premier truck driver training school, online at ProDriverCDL.com. That's ProDriverCDL.com. Class A CDL, Class B CDL, passenger and advanced skills training, book work, and real-life application of that book work. You get it all. Again, ProDriverCDL.com. Jazz with George Thomas coming up about 28 minutes from now at the top of the hour there. And it'll take you until 9 o'clock before Eye on the World with John Batchelor. I do want to get to Who's Saying What, which is brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash, which is Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes. Unlimited car washes, $20 a month. One free car wash. Well, just text the word Vermont to the number 30 and then 400. I want to get to this Celtics take from Stephen A. Smith because it was very interesting. It got generally skewered, but I think Stephen A. is really onto something here. So he's talking about the Celtics. He was talking about Ime Udoka. Remember, Ime Udoka, the Celtics head coach, got suspended for a year. He did not get fired. Now, there also were no criminal charges filed against Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka, who had a relationship with a Celtics staffer, and he was suspended for breach of breach of contract, violation of workplace policy. But again, no criminal charges were raised. Stephen A. had a thought on why wasn't he fired? Like, let's see here. We got to get that audio. Can we grab that? Okay, carry the one, grab here, and let's see. Okay, here's Stephen A. Why wasn't he fired outright?
And because there was nothing that was put out there that said it was a crime, I believe that if Ime Udoka had been fired by the Boston Celtics, the Brooklyn Nets would have fired Steve Nash and brought that brother back, and he would be the coach for the Brooklyn Nets right now. That's how emphatic I feel about that. That's not no source material, no inside information. That's just my personal opinion.
So basically, Stephen A. says he thinks the Celtics kept him under contract in order to keep him away from the Nets. And I got to say, Stephen A., I saw him get ridiculed for that take. I actually think he's very much onto something. I don't think he's 100% right, but I think he's very much onto something. And if you think that's conspiracy theory, don't think that way, because teams really do this. Look no further than Jimmy Garoppolo. Right? Look no further than Jimmy Garoppolo's situation with the San Francisco 49ers. All off season, we thought Jimmy Garoppolo was getting cut or getting traded. When it became clear that Jimmy G was not going to get traded, it became obvious he was going to get cut. And we were like, okay, when's Jimmy G going to get cut? And obviously it would have been better for Jimmy G to get cut early, right? Get cut early, go to a new team, get a new system, meet your teammates, get ready to go. The 49ers didn't do Jimmy Garoppolo the solid of cutting him early. In fact, the talk was they were going to cut him as late as possible because they wanted him to be unprepared before the season started. They wanted him to not have a chance to get going and potentially go to Seattle and then beat them in week number 2. The 49ers were holding on to Jimmy G for the sole purpose, we thought, of keeping him away from Seattle with ability to prepare. I believe the Celtics are doing the same thing with Ime Udoka. Now, the part where I differ from Stephen A. is, remember the Ime Udoka news broke right before training camp started. Like, we're talking like mid-September, right before media day, mid-end September. I do not believe that the Brooklyn Nets would have fired Steve Nash on the eve of training camp and brought in Ime Udoka right away. I don't believe that. But I do believe it's plausible that the Brooklyn Nets or some other team could get out to a 4-6 start, an 8-8 start, a 10-12 start, and then they fire their coach and bring in Ime Udoka. And I believe the Celtics are looking to keep that from happening. I don't believe the Celtics want Ime Udoka as their coach moving forward, but they don't want him to be anybody else's coach because they know he's a good coach, and they don't want him to beat them and halt their route to the NBA Finals. Because look at how this goes now, right? If Ime Udoka is a free agent coach, you've got people now that can go and do their own investigation and ask their own questions and get their own answers and develop their own comfort with bringing him in. And then when the Brooklyn Nets or somebody else starts out 8-9 or 10-12 or whatever, well, now they've got the book out on Udoka and they feel okay bringing him back. Or they feel like okay bringing him in. I actually agree with Stephen A. on this. I don't believe it would only protect him from the Nets, and I don't believe it would have happened in the summer. There just wasn't enough time to fire your coach, do an investigation, vet Udoka, hire him, get him with the staff, all that. There was not enough time in the summer. But get fired in September, run your own investigation, hire him by mid-November. There was time for that. And the Celtics couldn't risk that because they already made a gutsy call, right? They made a gutsy call in suspending Ime Udoka and getting rid of a coach that took you to the finals. The last thing they want is to see that coach go to their rivals and then beat them and have all the fans say, well, see, you should have just kept him. If they keep him on ice for a year, they protect themselves against looking bad. They protect themselves from having Udoka go somewhere else and stick it to him. I think Stephen A's on to it. And Texter says, I disagree with most everything Stephen A. Smith says, but I see his point. 100%. 100%. It actually makes perfect sense to me. Again, doesn't have to be the Nets, and I don't think it was going to be in the summer, but I do believe that the Celtics are protecting themselves from looking bad. Because if he goes somewhere else in the season and beats the Celtics, there's going to be hell to pay from fans. Stephen A's on to something. Yankees are on to something, too. 5-1 lead for New York in the bottom of the seventh against Cleveland. Aaron Judge just singled, so there's a runner on first and nobody out. Anthony Rizzo is at the plate. Tonight is the NLCS as well, Game 1. So this is the finality of the ALDS, and then the NLCS kicks off tonight with the Phillies and Padres just after 8 o'clock. And kind of some interesting emotions in that one for Red Sox fans, given that Dave Dombrowski has brought these Phillies to the NLCS. And, you know, Chaim Bloom got to the ALCS a year ago, so it's not totally just pining away for Dombrowski, but it is interesting in seeing the Red Sox new wave approach compete with the Red Sox old approach. And, well, that old approach is in the NLCS this year. We'll talk to Tom Caron tomorrow, but earlier today I spoke with former UVM Hoops coach Tom Brennan, and I want to play just a couple minutes from that interview. So TB and I talk every Tuesday. We're going to continue to talk every Tuesday throughout the basketball season. It's really hard to believe that we are 2 weeks away from UVM's first scrimmages. Like, UVM is going to take on St. Michael's and is going to take on Middlebury, and we're going to see a very odd play in the Yankees game. I don't know what just happened. I'll have to see if I can catch it. But this is why I didn't want to watch Mariners games during the playoffs in here, because I'm going to get distracted. So I have no idea what the heck just happened. Oh, the Guardians dropped a pop-up, tried to turn a double play, and instead just got Aaron Judge off the base. So it just became a force out. So, all right, there you go. Now that's all cleared up. Anyways, where was I again? Oh, yeah, Tom Brennan. We're 2 weeks away from UVM hoops season, and they're going to take on St. Mike's. They're going to take on Middlebury. And then November 7th is the opener against Brown. That game at Patrick Gym, one of just 3 home games for UVM in the first semester. So TB is playing a little bit of investigative reporter for us over the last week. He went to a couple practices. He found out that Dylan Penn, that transfer from Bellarmine, the guy, remember, he's got the broken hand. He's going to be back sometime around opening day. I believe that he's going to be UVM's point guard. I've thought that all along. He was going to be UVM's point guard. TB tells us that Dylan Penn will not play point guard, and I pick up the conversation there because that whole thing kind of floors me.
I do know, and I'm gonna cry a little bit here, that he is not, nor will he be, or was he ever considered to be the point guard. That I do know.
Really?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, see, that shocks me because I thought that really the way this was going to work for UVM was Dylan Penn's going to have the ball top of the key and he's going to be the decision maker. You're telling me that's not in the cards?
No, not at all. Now, again, and you know this, I mean, you're still playing for goodness sakes, but the way we're built right now, I just don't know what our inside capabilities, for lack of a better word, are going to be. We got a couple transfers that are 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". We got a couple of freshmen, you know, in that same size area. I don't know when they'll be ready or if they'll be ready. You kind of think they will, but I do see us, especially with Dylan, I'm throwing him in there, and Robin, you know, playing 4 guards at a time. I could really see us doing that, especially if you consider how well Duncan can defend and rebound. He can do both those things very well, and he also is good at going to the basket. That's another thing he's real good at. So I just don't know. I don't know what, and you know what? You go to practice, you don't see offense. There's no offense.
Yeah.
You don't worry about offense until later. You know, it's like you've got to be able to do these things defensively, and they do them over and over and over again. It's just amazing how much they work at it. And you know, I'm saying this just as obviously I'm a former coach, but as an outsider, I'm just delighted about their energy. I mean, because the whole difference, like when I was doing this, Brady, you sent kids home in May. They went home, right? And they came back in September. And you talked to them, or maybe even went to visit them on occasion for one reason or another. But it was nothing like it is now. You know, I mean, they go home for 2 weeks and then they come back and they're here for like 11 months. They break here and there. But so the whole concept of what you're doing and when you do it and how you keep them from dragging and things like that, it's a big deal. And yet they are as spirited as any group that I've been again, as any team I've ever been around. They get after it. And I'm thinking to myself, I may be told you, I'm thinking, it's like June or July 15th. You know, but I think they're really excited. I think they feel like they have something to prove. You know, we've lost, you know, we really lost a lot. And what did we had the MVP? We had the MVP like 6 out of the last 8 years, right? At least.
I think it's 6 years straight.
6 straight. Okay. So obviously now's the time. We got a new team coming in, which will be certainly a very capable new opponent, without a doubt. They won their league, I think, last year.
Yeah.
Or one of the two. And so anyway, and they got transfers and on and on and on. So I think it's just an exciting year. And I think in John's case and the staff and also the team, they really feel like, you know, they've got something to prove. And, you know, I don't necessarily feel that way, but I think they do.
You know, it's interesting. I'm still going back to the Dylan Penn not playing point guard thing. I'm with you. I do believe he's going to play on the block. I thought that all along. So I think that's perfectly fair and perfectly reasonable. The question is can you put a 6'3" guy on the block all the time? My answer to that would be no. And then if you move him out and he's not the ball handler, well, then you have a slasher, which is fine, but you have a guy on the perimeter who's not really a perimeter player that's just kind of floating around there and doesn't seem to really be at home to me. I to be honest with you, I don't really love this development.
Well, guess what, my boy? You're going to have to live with it because that's what they're doing. And I do think one of the things I think seriously is that there's going to be so much movement. I do believe that. I think player movement and ball movement. I mean, we've been good at that, obviously, for a long, long time. And you know, we don't have a big league, you know, so I'm not that concerned about. Oh, well, you know, New Hampshire got a 6'10" guy who's a bucket on the block. Or remember when Stony Brook had that guy Varney? I mean, what are you going to do? You can't stop this guy. Well, we have. I don't think we're going to face that. Obviously, we're going to face it in the preseason. We're going to face it until January 5th. But after that, I don't know. So, and now, plus it's interesting because with the injury, I do think he'll be back sooner rather than later. But I'm just glad that it happened now and not January 5th.
See, I just thought really that Dylan Penn was going to be like Trey Bell-Haynes, another guy that wasn't a great shooter, but a guy that could get to the bucket, a guy that could be a good passer, and a guy that could finish around the rim and make decisions at the cup. That's who I saw Dylan Penn being, was Trey Bell-Haynes. And you're telling me that's not the case. Now I have to totally recalibrate my brain.
He may well be Trey Bell-Haynes, but he's not going to do it from 94 feet. He's not going to do it from half court. And, you know, if he gets the ball at the top of the key and decides to do things, I think it will be because – well, no, it will be because of ball movement. It won't be because unless they run particular sets for him out there, they could do that. It's not their nature. But I see him more, and I always saw him more. You had me confused last week when you told him he was going to be the point guard. I never thought that. I think he could be. I mean, if you put a gun to my head and say, could he play the point? Yeah, he could play it. But I think he, they don't have like a Trey Bell-Haynes. I don't think they have a guy like that. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. But in the backcourt, They don't have that guy. And
All right, that was part of my talk from earlier today with former UVM Hoops coach Tom Brennan in TB. The full interview is already up on our podcast channel on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. I'm going to react to that on the other side of the commercial break. We do get a text in on the Napa Morrisville Napa Waterbury text line from Bob in Barrie, who reminds us, yes, this is good, that the UVM basketball team will be at the Barrie Auditorium for an open practice and inter-squad scrimmage this Saturday, so that's October 22nd at noon. All are welcome, and it is free. Bob works at the Barrie Civic Center, so the Barrie Auditorium will host UVM men's basketball this Saturday at noon. Everybody welcome, and it's free. I don't love what Coach Brennan just had to tell us about the plan for Dylan Penn. I'll tell you why. That's next on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
Vermont's fastest growing and most innovative companies will be at the Vermont Tech Jam, powered by 7 days on Saturday, October 22nd at Hula in Burlington. Looking for work? Evade the job board algorithms. At Vermont Tech Jam, meet recruiters and tech professionals face to face. Put on some real pants, step away from your remote desk, and step onto Hula's Lakeside Tech campus. Make connections with real, live human beings, and hand them your resume while you're at it. Want to be inspired? Come to the keynote presentation with John Abley, who built medical device firm Boston Scientific into a company worth billions. And Sarah Khalil, CEO of CoreMap, a Vermont startup using decades of research to change the way doctors treat a common heart condition. To register for Vermont Tech Jam, presented by Hula and Marvell on Saturday, October 22nd, visit techjamvt.com.
Red cedar and hemlock clapboards are available at Cleveland Cedar Products in Wolcott. They have many hard-to-find siding products. Don't let fall weather slow your siding project. Get Cleveland Cedar Products help with pre-staining. Their quality is unmatched, and their prices are the best anywhere. Log on to cedarguide.com and let Henry and his family provide their best products and 40 years of siding experience. Cleveland Cedar Products, Route 15, just 3 miles west of Wolcott Village.
Hi, folks. Dan King here at Lamoille Valley Ford with a special announcement. The fall foliage blowout sale is on at Lamoille Valley Ford. Business is off the charts here at Lamoille Valley, and with tons of inventory in stock and on the way, we're on a mission to move out the 22s. Right, kids?
Spot on, Dan. Despite what you're seeing and hearing out there, I want you to know that at Lamoille Valley Ford, not only is our lot loaded with Ford Escapes, Bronco Sports, Edges, Explorers, and hands down the largest inventory of Ford trucks in Vermont, we also have over 300 new Fords in the pipeline. And because of that huge inventory, we've now taken in dozens of clean, one-owner, late-model cars, trucks, and SUVs, and they're available for immediate delivery. More importantly, we're ready to make deals and earn your business today. So listen to this offer just in time for winter driving. Come make your best deal on any in-stock, new or pre-owned SUV, and Lamoille Valley Ford will include 4 snow tires for just $1.
Woo! So drive Route 14, 15, or 16 to Hardwick and save big during the fall foliage blowout sale happening now at Lamoille Valley Ford.
So as you graduate and head out into the world, there's only one thing that you need to know. Hi, this is Jamie from Progressive. Yeah, I can talk now. Progressive protects you 24/7. So, tell me what happened. Oh, I'm sorry, Gene. Can you give me 1 second? Brush that for every meal. Congratulations and thank you. Sorry about that. I'm back. So tell me about this fender bender.
Contact us 24/7 on the phone, online, or on the mobile app. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms.
Get Macy's lowest prices of the season and shop amazing deals to make fall your season. Like 60% off diamond earrings to elevate any look. Layer up with 50 to 65% off coats for the whole family. And get 40 to 75% off bedding, bath, and decor just in time for cooler weather. Plus, download the free Macy's app today for even more lowest prices of the season. Savings off regular sale and clearance prices. Exclusions apply.
As Vermonters, we know that so much depends on the weather. When you need a reliable local weather forecast, it's literally at your fingertips with the WDEV weather phone. Locally dial 244-1172 or toll free at 1-800-585-1211. Roger Hill's weather forecast is just a phone call away on the WDEV weather phone, 244-1172 or 1-800-585-1211.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
This is Freddie Coleman of ESPN, and you're listening to Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM. Just a couple of minutes left here. I am not loving what Tom Brennan just told us. Tom Brennan tells us there's no way that Dylan Penn is going to be the point guard for the UVM men's basketball team when healthy. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see Dylan Penn be the point guard. One, he's a scorer. Having the ball in his hands as much as possible, to me, is a good thing. Scorers need to touch the ball, and I want him touching it as much as possible. End of discussion. If he's the point guard, I want him to, or if he's a scorer, I want him to touch the ball as much as possible. Two, he's a guy that's going to draw a crowd. So having the ball in his hands a bunch, I feel like he's going to be able to facilitate for other guys easy as well. Finn Sullivan, Aaron Deloney, they're shooters. I want them to focus on shooting. I don't need them to focus on ball handling. If Dylan Penn has the ball in his hands, he scores easily or he draws a crowd and he kicks to shooters. Now, I got to get shooters apparently to be ball handlers, and that's not necessarily what I want. Three, Dylan Penn, since he's not a shooter, is going to be kind of out of place if he's just hanging out on the perimeter, is he not? Like if somebody else handles the ball, he's just kind of loafing around the perimeter waiting for things to happen. I don't love that. I want guys to be where they are comfortable being and where they can do the most damage. And Dylan Penn hanging out at the three-point line while somebody else holds the ball isn't necessarily the spot where he's going to be the most comfortable. And four, he's going to go in the post at times, and that's fine. That is going to work well in the league. And TB is right that the league isn't particularly big, so you can get away with a 6'3" post player in America East play in a lot of cases. What happens when this team is playing Miami? And what happens when this team is playing against USC? You can't play with a 6'3" post player. So where exactly is Dylan Penn going in that matchup? I just don't love it. I think he'll end up at the point guard in some occasions. Like I think TB's right. They'll move the ball and reverse the ball, and he'll end up with it in the position where I want him to get it. So it's not going to be exclusively that he's never the main decision maker. But that's where I think he's going to serve this team best. Have the ball in his hands, score, facilitate, and let shooters be shooters. If Finn Sullivan's the primary ball handler, then he's not able to score as easily because the ball's constantly in his hands, and he's not a guy that goes to the bucket a lot. Dylan Penn is. Get the ball in his hands, let him go to the cup, and let him kick. Finn Sullivan's a shooter. I want him on the outside to be a shooter, to catch passes from Dylan Penn and hit shots. We'll see how this goes, though, right? As of now, Dylan Penn has a broken hand. He's not playing anywhere. So we will see. But that inter-squad scrimmage for UVM is at the Barry Odd coming up on Saturday afternoon. That will be at noon, so you can go and check that out. And the first scrimmages are just weeks away. That's it for us. Thanks to Bob Socci. Thanks to Tom Brennan. Tomorrow we'll check in with Tom Caron. Also, we'll hear a little bit from Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio. More Patriots talk 24 hours from now. Go find the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Jazz with George Thomas is next on DEV.
If a salesman walked through your neighborhood and promised you a